An Auckland school principal is not sure all parents are being honest about whether their children are immunised because they believe it's their own business. The number of confirmed measles cases in Auckland is now 812. That includes a student from an Auckland girls' school who attended the St Peter's College ball on Saturday night. Pupils from 30 other schools were also at the event. The principal of St Peter's College, James Bentley, estimates about 10 of his students who were at the ball aren't vaccinated, and he's asking them to stay away from school next week. But he believes there's been mixed messages from Health and Education Ministries about how to handle the situation.
Well, the case that was the reason for our communication to our parents and to the other schools on Sunday has been officially confirmed as having measles and is now in quarantine at home.
So this is one of the young ladies who went to the ball?
That is correct.
Okay. So what does that mean for your students?
What it means is that basically what the information that we sent out on Sunday remains the same, is that any boy who attended the ball and that would have potentially come in contact with the student is to stay home from this Saturday, the 7th of September, until Saturday the 14th of September, which means the week in between they will not be able to attend school. They're to stay home in quarantine because the measles virus is an incubation, and that those people who are not immunised will not become potentially contagious until Saturday. And so that's why they're asked to stay home for 7 days.
So this is just unimmunised students, is it, that we're talking about, James, to be clear?
It's just immunised. It's just unimmunised, yes.
And how many students do you reckon that is?
It's difficult for us to gauge. Some parents have been upfront with us that their sons are not immunised. Some of them maybe also have their immunity compromised for other medical reasons. But our nurse is putting it at around perhaps 5% of the students who attended the ball on Saturday night.
So when you say some of them are being upfront, some of them less open about the vaccination status of their children?
Yeah, it's very difficult to get correct information from some parents.
Why is that, do you reckon?
I'm not sure. I think it's perhaps maybe they don't see it's the school's business. Potentially they see it as a private matter. And it's also possible that they don't want their son to be ostracised potentially.
So where does that leave you then? Because that's a pretty difficult situation to be in.
It makes it very difficult, very difficult. And the communication that we've had from the Auckland Regional Public Health Service is that in the end we can actually only ask parents for their cooperation. We can't actually insist. It is very difficult around the legalities of this. There does seem to be some tension in what schools can and can't do, according to the Education Act.
Is that frustrating that you've got no real power then?
It is frustrating because what we're doing is relying on the goodwill of parents and the common sense of parents to follow what we've asked them to do. And I'm confident the vast majority of them will do so. But there could be someone that may not. And that's not just at our school. It could be at the other schools, because of course there was 30-odd other schools who had students at the ball on Saturday night, and they will also have to be following the same protocols.
Would you prefer it if you could make them stay away if necessary?
Yes, I think that would be ideal if we'd be able to do that.
How do you think the Ministry of Health and or the Ministry of Education have handled this from the outset?
Look, can I firstly say that they're in a really difficult situation. It's fast-moving. Every day there's more measles cases, and I sympathise with the fact that they're perhaps under-resourced, and it's very difficult for them to get this matter under control, and they're doing their very best. But what I can say is, from the outset on Sunday, it was very confusing. The schools have been given information. Some of it's contradictory. Some of it's saying you can tell students that they can stay home. Others are saying that you can't do that. So it's difficult for us to get a gauge on it. And then yesterday I had a number of communications from the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education who weren't happy with the approach that myself and the other school involved had taken on Sunday in terms of letting the other schools know.
So just to be clear, what were they unhappy about? That you notified other schools of a potential measles situation?
Yes, I think they would prefer that message came from the Auckland Regional Public Health Authority, not directly from the schools.
Why did you feel it necessary to act?
Because it was a Sunday, because I'd followed advice. We'd been in contact with public health nurse from the Auckland Regional Authority who advised us that that's what we needed to do in terms of our timings, as the other school had. For the other school, it was a little bit more urgent because the student who contracted measles was actually at school last week, and so therefore the incubation period was much less. Therefore, they really had to make a judgment call on for the students not to be able to come from yesterday.
You felt you could do this more quickly yourself, getting the message out.
Well, I believe that was my responsibility. Our college hosted the ball, and it was our responsibility to let the other schools know. My understanding is that it was already over social media that there was a student who may have contracted measles, and I'd like if my students had been at a ball on a Saturday night and another school had sat on their hands and not informed us about what the potential risk was, I'd be pretty disappointed. And so that's why we chose to take that action and communicate our concerns to all the other schools involved as well as our own communities.
So, to put it simply, you say it was on social media already. The cat was out of the bag before the ministry had notified any of the other schools.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be fair to the ministry, they were the first they had heard of it was from us.
So, is there a clear protocol for schools in these kind of circumstances? Because you're not alone here, and do we need that? Does someone need to sort out?
Yeah, my understanding is that both the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education are coming up with something which is going to help for more clarity to schools in terms of what we can and what we can't do. I would hope that whatever they're providing to us is going to be able to be clear and concise and will enable us to move quickly, because I think we could be waiting 2 or 3 days to get permission to be able to let our communities know. Meanwhile, most of them know. People are starting to panic, and we're just trying to be proactive. And my take on all of this is it's always better to be safe than sorry.
So you are not far from, I think it's a soccer tournament that you're at. Are you comfortable with big sports gatherings while we have this measles outbreak in Auckland?
Well, Lisa, we've got to take professional advice on that, and the advice that has been provided by the Ministry of Health is that it is safe, and that schools are to manage if a student starts developing symptoms, they need to go into isolation straight away. So that's their advice, and that's what we have to accept.
So you would have students going to the Ames Games, right, coming up?
We do.
How are you handling that?
So we are, with the Ames Games, we are similar situation. We've gone through and we've actually asked all the students. Parents have been very good with this in terms of vaccination, the vaccination records. And actually what we've discovered is that the majority of our kids are vaccinated, and that the ones that aren't are not sure, so they're going back to their doctor to check. But we don't seem to have anybody who has chosen not to be vaccinated or for whatever reason can't be vaccinated.
So when you say that the nurse you're dealing with is giving you an estimate of about 5% of students will have to stay away, 5% of the ones who are at this function. How many is that in real numbers?
We're probably talking around, I would say, less than 10.
And then every other school who had a student there as well, they're facing the same sort of numbers, you would imagine.
Yeah, they are. And so from talking to some of the other schools, they're comfortable because the students that attend the ball, they've checked, and the majority of them are vaccinated, so there's no risk to their communities or to those students.